All right, so I want to touch on a quick point here on pulling the slack out of the bar on the deadlift. Everybody has made a video on this now, what it actually means to pull the slack out. I've made one personally and written an article on it, but there's some small nuances that I think sometimes get misconstrued. And so as such, I want to make a quick video and try to hash out a few of those ideas so that you can get a better idea of what it actually means. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this in Olympic shoes normally. I just got done front squatting and I'm still in the middle of my session, so I just want to make this video really fast while I was thinking of it. But getting back to my point, the slack in the bar, that's essentially just that little amount of play in between the collars and the weights. And that's designed to spin in Olympic lifts and overhead lifts. But when you're deadlifting, you want to try to pull that slack out of the bar, at least for novice and intermediate lifters, and learn that skill set in order to generate tension. So what it's going to look like is when you set up, whether sumo or conventional, a lot of people have been taught to pull the slack out as they're dropping down to the bar. So there's two ways that you're going to see this done. The first way I'll show you is a good way to generate a mild amount of tension, but I don't think it's the most effective way. So what I mean is someone will get their breath as they're coming down to the bottom, and they'll drop their hips simultaneously. And this is how I used to pull. And you heard that last little bit, the bar clicks into the weights. But what I've been thinking about lately and trying to implement in my own training is thinking about more of a seesaw effect almost, where your shoulders and your hips are the two ends of the seesaw. So in essence, when a lifter's hips will pop up, you'll see a lot of people in their setup, they'll kind of be in this position and they're getting their breath, and then they drop their hips. So there's the seesaw effect. But you'll see that when the hips drop and the shoulders come up, they're also getting in their air at the same time. Now, the small little point that I want to make about that is to actually use the weight on the bar to pull your hips down. If you're a more experienced lifter, you've probably heard other people talk about this. I think Brandon Lilly was the first person that I heard discuss this at a conference on strength and conditioning, and thinking about almost using the weight of the bar to actively pull up slightly, not retract your shoulder blades, but pull up with your shoulders in order to drop your hips down. So again, that leverage effect. So it's going to look slightly different, and when the weight is very light, if someone is strong enough, they'll actually lift those plates off the ground as their hips are dropping. Just because of that seesaw effect, they'll actually just drive the weights up. And when you do it, it's going to feel effortless. Like if you play golf or if you play baseball, and you just hit one really pure, everything syncs up, and it feels like it's just effortless almost. This is the same sort of phenomenon. When you get in that groove, you'll know it. So, slight difference. You're going to get your tension at the top, so pull the slack out first as you're getting your breath, then drop your hips using that tension that you've established into the bar. So, I'll show you one. Versus getting the slack last, you'll see what I mean. You won't be able to generate as much tension through the hamstrings and the quads. It's going to look probably the same on film, but when you actually do it, that's when you're going to notice the difference. So try them both out. Get the slack last and see how it feels, and then get the slack first as you're getting your air, then generate tension in your hamstrings and use the weight of the bar to pull your hips down. And I think you're going to notice a pretty significant difference in the way that deadlift feels.